Imagine for a moment being arrested at night, not for a crime of violence or fraud, but for sharing a meme. That's precisely what happened to Larry Bushet Jr., a retired police officer from Lexington, Tennessee, who spent more than a month in jail for what he calls a bit of online trolling. His case reveals something darkly comic and deeply alarming about the American relationship with free speech and fear, and maybe with our relationship with free speech in the UK. I don't know. I don't know whether I believe Elon Musk, and I don't know whether this story tells us that Elon Musk's claim that it's so much worse in Britain than in America is true. In September 2025, Bushet saw a Facebook thread promoting a vigil for the slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk, an habitual online provocateur and political liberal in a deeply conservative country. He decided to post a meme, a picture of Donald Trump with the words, "We have to get over it." The phrase came from Trump's own comments after a school shooting in Perry, Iowa, a year earlier. Beneath it, Bushet added a wry caption, "This seems relevant today." It was not a political jest nor a threat, but because the meme mentioned Perry High School, some locals in Perry County, Tennessee, where there's also a Perry County High School, imagined it as a veiled reference to violence. Sheriff Nick Weems claimed that terrified parents and teachers flooded his office with calls without checking whether any school had actually been warned or whether any mass hysteria existed beyond his imagination, and he issued an arrest warrant, and within hours Bushet was in handcuffs, his bond set at $2 million. $2 million for a meme. Body cam footage later obtained by journalists shows even the arresting officers were puzzled. "I'm not really sure what they're talking about," one admits. Bushet, bewildered but calm, jokes, "I've been in Facebook jail, but I guess I'm in the real one now." He was taken to Perry County Jail and held for over a month, with losing his medical driver job and missing the birth of his grandchild. The sheriff defended himself with remarkable self-righteousness. He told Nashville television that Bushet could have avoided arrest if he'd just taken the post down, but that defense only underlines the authoritarian impulse behind the entire episode. If deleting a meme magically removes a supposed threat, then the sheriff was never responding to danger or to defiance. And we know in this country that deleting a meme doesn't stop you going to jail. Deleting a post doesn't stop you going to jail. The message was clear: speak against us and we'll make an example of you. This is not a minor local eccentricity. It reflects a creeping climate of censorship through fear. And the Tennessee law, cited in Bushet's arrest, was originally written to stop credible threats of school shootings, yet it has increasingly been twisted to punish unpopular speech. The result is a form of state-sponsored emotionalism where someone might be scared and might therefore, and that might be a legal precedent for silencing dissent. No such fear ever existed, of course. The Intercept obtained school records confirming no alert was issued, no staff contacted, no disruption reported. The only hysteria was the sheriff's own. Meanwhile, a Facebook group entitled Free Larry Bushet gathered thousands of supporters and civil liberties lawyers at Fire, and they intervened. Fire is some sort of newspaper, I think. Their attorney, Adam Steinbaugh, summed up the absurdity. People's performative overreaction is not a sufficient basis to limit someone else's free speech rights. Under mounting scrutiny, and after a particularly ill-advised television interview in which the sheriff admitted he knew the meme referred to the Iowa shooting, prosecutors quietly dropped the charge. Bushet walked free, thinner, tired, still wearing the same white T-shirt from the night of his arrest. His first post after release was a simple defiant gesture, a video of Elton John singing "I'm Still Standing." I don't know whether he checked censorship, whether he checked copyright on that. The affair tells us several things. First, that fear has become the most potent instrument of power. Second, that local law enforcement in America can sometimes confuse community reassurance with ideological policing. Third, that free expression, even in the land that worships the First Amendment, now depends less on the Constitution and more on the courage of those who refuse to delete their posts. And there's an irony here, almost Shakespearean. A former police officer jailed by his own profession for an act of speech, a sheriff who proclaims himself a defender of the Constitution while trampling it, and a meme, that lowest form of modern discourse, transformed into a symbol of liberty. Bushet himself put it bluntly, "I didn't seek to be a media sensation, but here we are." His story shouldn't be dismissed as political folly, as some sort of provincial chaos. It is a warning about the fragility of rights once thought unassailable. The temptation of authority is always to extend its reach, to turn the language of safety into a tool of control. And when a Facebook post can cost a man his freedom, I think we have strayed from the idea of liberty that includes the right to offend, to mock, to provoke, and even to misunderstand, into some sort of tyranny of suppression. As Bushet posted upon returning home, "We have to get over it." Well, perhaps, but the lesson must not be forgotten. A free country doesn't send armed officers into the homes of its citizens because a sheriff dislikes their jokes. It argues, it disagrees, it scrolls on. In the age of fear and algorithms, perhaps the meme has become the modern pamphlet, and those who jail its authors are the new censors in uniform.